Converted man here. Alrighty. So Craig, good old Craig. Love responding to Craig. Craig's an interesting guy to talk to. We haven't talked in a while. We need to talk again. Craig. Okay. So made a video. Can't choose what to believe. Atheism is not a choice. Can't choose what to believe. Talking about whether or not you have the ability or anyone has the ability to choose what they can or can't believe. Now, more than just theists and atheists, of course, think about this matter and talk about this matter and explore this matter. There is an article I found and many, many more out there, I'm sure. Here's one, the Biochemistry of Belief. So, you know, here's who published it. Here's what it says. You know, here's all the things. So, you know, it's interesting. It's an interesting read. You know, there are things that it brings up I think are relevant. Other things I'm not so sure of, and you know, it's fairly in depth. And of course, there's less complex things out there. If you just Google, you know, can I choose what to believe? You get a lot of debate, mostly amongst religious versus not religious. So I can understand why this would be framed in that way. I think the most relevant is the placebo and nocebo effects in this particular article. That these things are good examples of what belief impact has upon you. And so if somebody of authority or somebody that you perceive as an authority gives you a pill and says that it's going to do something, you're very likely to believe in that. It's just part of how we work. And so do you really have a choice to believe the professional or not? I don't know. You know, you could be skeptical of it. You know, I see doctors and from time to time, it's like I don't really have a reason to be skeptical of things. Now, if they were to give me a pill, which is unusual because they don't usually just hand you a pill. They usually give you a prescription for some medication. So, but let's say that they give you a prescription for medication. You don't understand what it says. You don't understand what it's about. You go and get it, but it's just sugar pills or pills that have some salt in them, but it's a placebo. Then, for whatever reason, it seems to improve, but you're curious, so you look it up online, you can't find anything about it, and you go, wait a minute, this isn't a real medicine. I think it's a placebo. Would it stop working? I don't know, you know. So, do you have control in that case? You know, if they said that if the drug was going to do something like regrow a limb, that would be something you would doubt, no matter how much faith or trust you have in the authority of the doctor. It's just like, I've never heard of this. No, yeah, come on. So I think that these cases indicate at least that how belief functions in your brain is a difficult matter in and of itself, whether or not we can even choose what we believe in. What does that mean? What does it mean to be able to choose what we believe? And, you know, I'm not necessarily going to play Craig's thing per se, or you know, this is just kind of a launching off point for me, like, to talk about this, because, you know, I thought it was an April Fool's video because it was posted on April 1st. I thought, yeah, it's funny. We don't have a choice. And we do. I don't know, you know. Now, so some people think that it is. I more wanted to comment on some of the comments, because I think they're talking about certain aspects of things. I think they're talking about things that we choose to do or not to do. And I don't know that that's belief per se. And of course, we have to know what the hell we're saying when we say the word belief. Where did it go? Jeez, I hate when it does that. Belief is voluntary in that we can choose what we listen to, what we do, and who we associate with. Well, that's not. Those things aren't belief, is it? Uh, we we choose what to listen to some degree, and goodness knows if we have ability to choose in the first place. That's a whole nother rabbit hole, isn't it? Do we even have free will or limited free will? I have no idea, and I don't even know that I could know. It's like the ability to do arbitrary actions is what I would define free will as. But anything I might do that I think is arbitrary action might actually not be, in fact, arbitrary because I was always predestined to do it, because that's just how my brain works. Who we listen to, or what we listen to, or who we associate with, those two are also limited to some degree. I mean, especially if you're young, your parents are there, whatever. Now, I said that, and the response was, well, but you could run away. It's like, well, could you though? Because what if you were raised to believe that you couldn't run away, or what if you're conditioned to think that that's not an option at all? Or so then you can't, and then of course you're still going to be limited. There's still going to be somebody in charge of you, or something in charge of you, in the sense of how the world works. And you're also limited to what language you speak and what culture you're in. So these things have dramatic influence over you as a young person. As an adult, well, I don't know, but your influences and your ideas were already formulated as a child, so it's very difficult to change that. I'm not saying it's impossible, but goodness knows how we even break out of our bubble, or if we even can or do. Now, maybe with the internet, I think younger people now are confronted by the world in a way, but they still form bubbles online. So, maybe it's just a new way to do the same old, right? You can control desires, emotions, beliefs. If not, we would never learn anything. No, I don't know that you can control your desires. Sexuality, for example. You can't decide who you're attracted to. You just can't. You're either attracted to them or not. Those things are, this suggests what? That you can decide to be homosexual or heterosexual? No. Emotions, not sure about that. If I say enough things about Jason Gunn here that are insulting, he probably will get mad. He might not want to be mad. But if I set out to make him, in fact, we say make you angry. We say that. You made me angry. We say that in conversation. Why? If that's not true, if it's ultimately up to me whether or not I get upset, then why do we say you pissed me off? Don't piss me off. Don't do it. I'm telling you, you're gonna cross the line. So if I start saying things about Jason Gunn, his mom, his dad, his relationships, his genitalia, his appearance, whatever, his religion, his whatever, and I just keep going and going and going and throwing on more and more insults and accusations and writing things and harassing him, I think eventually he's going to be pissed off, whether or not he wants to be pissed off. In fact, we could maybe even make a game out of it of a sort. We could see if we could actually test if this is true. Hook people up to some sort of machine that measures different things of our body: heart rate, sweat, temperature, look at the person's face, whatever, have judges, and it's like, and have it called, piss you off the game or whatever. And the goal, or dirty dissing, the goal would be to piss off your opponent. And you'd have two strangers come in and sit across from each other, and whoever gets pissed off first loses. The other person wins some sort of money or whatever. Let's see if it would work. Or, well, people would try to train and stay calm and not get mad or whatever. But we used to do this on the playground, like dirty dissing, where you'd say things about, your mama this, your mom that, or whatever. But you knew you were playing, so it was not intense. Whereas in a different school, the insults were meant to hurt you, but you also had to insult back. We called it cuts. You had to make these cuts at each other to survive. It was just part of the zeitgeist of the place. People didn't know how to interact with each other normally, I guess. I don't know that we can control emotions. If you drop something on your foot, it will hurt. You will probably yell, and you'll probably be upset. So I don't think that that's true. Beliefs, I just don't think you can control what you believe or don't believe. If by what you mean by belief is X is true, I don't think you have much control over that. If it was the case, I could just believe that I have $1 million, but yet, regardless of what I believe, it's not true. But still, if it's true that I can just decide what to believe, then couldn't I believe any arbitrary thing that I wanted? Or stop believing anything? If this was true, couldn't you turn on and off your belief regarding God, for example? Okay, stop believing in God. Just for today, though. Just for the next 24 hours. If you really believe that this is something you can control, then do it. Let's have you experiment on it. That's a very subjective experiment, by the way. Personal experiment is highly subjective. Could you stop believing for a full day in something you currently believe and then turn it back on the next day? Maybe. I don't know that you could or couldn't. I doubt it. I think that such things take time to establish. I think that's a good comment. Stop believing in God for 24 hours. I can't spell anything. Believing. There we go. Yeah, let's see it. So then the one that I interacted most, the comment I interacted most with was Dry Apologist. And he said, apart from beliefs that are self-evident, I think people can and do choose and cultivate the beliefs they want. Now, this is very important for a skeptic. Okay? There's a lot going on here that I want to go over with you. So let's just take apart this idea. Self-evident. Well, what's self-evident? What do you mean? So there's now two categories. There was one. The discussion at hand was, can I believe or not? So let's just, visualize it, shall we? Let me see if I can put that on screen here. There we go. Okay. So we started with, can I choose to believe in whatever, right? But now we're adding another category of things that are obviously true or false, that we cannot decide, that these are self-evident, whatever that means. So self-evident, right? And here we have just belief, and I choose. And then we're saying, well, the self-evident ones you can't. So no on those, right? No to those. But then the ones that aren't self-evident, right? You can say, well, if they're not self-evident, then you do have a choice. But the word not here, not. Okay, well, that's horrible color. Let's see. Come here, black. Not. Oh, it's still doing it. Screw paint. not self-evident. So over here, we now have it's not self-evident. Therefore, yes, you can choose if it's that case. Well, what have we done? We've made the whole damn thing more complicated because now you've introduced this new idea that I'm also skeptical of. What's self-evident? How do we decide if X, Y, and Z is self-evident? What does this mean? How does this work? The whole thing, in my view, is nothing but a shell game because all you have to do is say, well, this is self-evident and this isn't. And well, what's the system to decide what is or isn't self-evident? Do you decide that? Because I could just say, well, God's not self-evident, or God is self-evidently not true, so therefore God doesn't exist. And you can say God is self-evidently true, therefore God exists, and or therefore you have to believe in it or don't or whatever. And it's like, no, God is not self-evident, so you have a choice whether you believe in it or not, right? So all you're doing is playing a giant shell game. You're switching back and forth to avoid the burden of proof and to avoid the discussion in full. Now, why do I say that? Well, I say that in part, well, because I think it's true, but also because people choose and cultivate the beliefs they want. They want. You want to believe X is true. You want to not believe X is true. Your desire somehow intertwines with what you believe or don't. And why? Well, because I already know that he's a theist. I already know that he's a Christian. I already know that he's coming to the discussion with preconceived notions and ideas about how things work. And part of that is the Christian motif. Your desire plays an integral part in whether or not you want to sin or that you want God. That's an integral piece of the puzzle in Christianity. And so is, by the way, whether or not you can choose to believe in God. Now, of course, if you're a Calvinist, no, you can't choose what you believe. Period. End of story. Nobody chooses. You're elected. God decides who's a Christian and not. That's how that works. There's no free will. Moving on. But if you're not a Calvinist, then it's very important that you do have the ability to choose what you believe or don't. And I think what you want intertwining with it shows and demonstrates that you're making another exit. If I say, I don't believe in God, it's not self-evident that God exists, so I can choose. Then you say, no, it is self-evident that God exists. You can't choose to believe. Okay, so then we have no choice. Oh, wait, no, I meant the other way around. You could just switch it around and say, okay, fine, it's not self-evident. So if it's not self-evident, and then it's fine for me not to believe, but then I don't believe the idea that some things are self-evident, right? So it's just a giant mess. Let's just focus on whether we can or can't do this, which is why he went off into another tangent later in the comment thread of, do you know about whatever the hell this philosophy was? I was like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I don't care. How about you just give me a valid and sound argument or scientific source? Because that's all that matters. The argument. Let's not confuse this more than it needs to be. Let's leave it simple. Can we choose what we believe? What do we mean by that, and to what degree? And I think no is the answer. If by belief you mean what I just think is correct or true, if that's what it means, or are you saying belief in terms of like hope, which since I have a different word for, I'll use a different word for. Like, I have hope that tomorrow will be better than today, I would say that rather than I believe tomorrow will be a better day. Like, you know, I guess I could use either word. You'd still understand what I'm trying to get to, right? Do I have a choice to say, well, I think tomorrow's going to be a crummy day? I suppose, maybe. But then it's limited. It's limits. There's limits of some sort. If I say, okay, look, here are your choices, and this is not a valid choice because I'll get into that. But okay, I'm going to, you're tied down, let's just say. But I'm saying, look, here's your choices. Either I'm going to hit you in the face with a plate full of salad, or I'm going to hit you in the face with a plate full of poop. Which would you rather I do? And I'm going to do it no matter what, one or the other. You tell me which I'm going to do. If you don't pick, I'll pick for you. Now, you're probably going to say the salad. I would pick the salad. I'm pretty sure most people would pick the salad. So did you really have a choice in the matter? No, because you want to avoid the unpleasant thing. Maybe you have a poop fetish. Well, then, okay. Do you really choose in that moment to believe that the salad is the better choice than the poop? Or is that just something that's built into you at this point? Given the options of things to eat between food that's not spoiled and food that's spoiled, I'm going to eat the food that's not spoiled, right? Do we really have a choice in that case? Would anyone ever choose to eat the food that is bad, that has gone bad, that's rotten food, stinky, poisonous? Would you drink the vial of poison over the glass of water? Do you really have a choice there? And I know I'm saying choice now, but do you really, if I can just choose what to believe, couldn't I choose to believe that the vial of poison will be good for me, and thus I can drink it now because I believe that it's fine for me? Now, it's not going to be fine for me, but I can now believe it. Or is that one of those self-evident things if we go back to that nonsense, right? Maybe it's limited. Maybe there are certain things that you can decide on, or maybe not, or maybe there, but I think when this word belief, can you decide what to believe? And this is very important for the theist, especially the Christian, because if you can't, then that's a problem, because they're saying the atheist doesn't believe in God, they choose not to. You choose not to believe in God. No, I don't. I don't choose to not believe. I just don't. I can't choose to start believing either. The arguments suck. I've seen them. I've heard them. I've read them. No, they suck. I know logic. They all suck. Every single one that's I've ever seen just is broken. There's one or more logical fallacies. I point them out to people, and people go, no, that's not a fallacy, because they believe that the argument's fine, and they believe in God, and they can't separate the two. It's like they can't admit that there's a problem with the argument. I can, because I don't care. It doesn't matter. And I say, look, the argument's not important anyways. I'm not asking for an argument. I'm asking for the same sort of proof I have of everything else, but just for God. You don't have that. Just be honest. You don't have that. Nobody has that. And what I get when I tell people, when I tell theists that, or whatever, is this long, well, this is the nature of evidence and the nature of belief, and wishy-washy. What about this philosophy or that? And I'm like, no. Let's just keep it real simple, okay? Our epistemology is the core of what we're talking about. How do I or you or we decide what is or isn't true, real. How do we do that? Do we do it just by, I feel like it's true, I want it to be true, I desire it to be true? Or do we do it by vigorous empirical methodology, research, scrutinization, data? How do we go about it? Maybe it depends on what the thing is, right? Okay, fair enough. So the belief being a choice, at least in a broad sense, I don't think that it's been demonstrated to be. Now, we could, if it's possible. And of course, we need to define what we mean by belief first and foremost. What does that word mean? What does it mean to the person that's making the argument? That's what's important. Because I can't analyze the rest of the argument unless I know that. And once I know that, and I tentatively agree, I agree at least to your definition so I can analyze your argument. And you say, okay, well, you can decide this, that, or the other thing, or you can decide to use this system instead of this. It's like, well, but can I really? I mean, I don't. How would we test that? So perhaps it could be tested. We'd have to devise some sort of machine to do it, but it would mean brain scans. It would mean all sorts of monitoring equipment of things on the human body. But maybe we could do it. Investigating what a person thinks is extraordinarily difficult. But maybe we could get it to some level where, it's not perfect. It's never going to be perfect, whatever that even means. But we're both satisfied. Me and you were both satisfied, at least with the mechanism that we've devised to test this. But we don't even have that mechanism here. What we have is a discussion. We're talking about it. We're saying, can you choose what to believe? I don't know. You're saying yes. I'm saying no. I'm actually saying I don't really know, actually. It doesn't seem like I can, but I don't know. It depends what you're talking about. And I'm not sure what you're talking about here. And I'm saying broadly speaking because I'm not responding to this particular video. I'm just using it as a jumping off point. Some things, I said, well, believe I'm a lobster. Oh, I can't do that. That's absurd. Well, but you said you can decide what you believe. Well, but that's not a thing that's self-evident. Well, who decides what's something? Just round and round we go, right? Hi, everybody in chat. So I want to say anything. I want to see if anyone in chat has anything to add that I need to respond to. Existence is self-evident. I suppose I don't know what self-evident really means per se. Calvinism needs to be true for your statement about Calvinism to be true. No, what Calvinists assert is true regardless of whether or not Calvinism is true. Sniffy, hi DM. You can't arbitrarily choose belief without lying to yourself. You're either convinced of something or not. I think so, yeah. Now, I do think that you could convince yourself, maybe, over a period of time, that something was true or false. Maybe if somebody tried hard enough, for long enough, they could make themselves believe I'm a lobster. I don't think that they could just instantly do it. But maybe there's a human out there that could do that. I don't know. Brains are weird, so who knows? Okay, can I make myself believe the piece of music I practice today will still be in my mind tomorrow? I don't know. I mean, maybe it depends. Maybe you can make yourself believe something in that sense of like, okay, well, I studied this today, and I would still say I hope that I'll remember it tomorrow, because I just don't like the word believe, so I try to avoid it. But I don't like it because it's kind of like tainted. It's like belief is bad. Belief is just hope. That's all it is to me, at any rate. And I don't know, because this seems like a very subjective thing. Maybe some people can choose what to believe and others can't. What if that's the case? Gander fork salad? Yeah, sure. Remain unconvinced by all leap of faith claims, so do I. The flying spaghetti monster never dries out. Obviously, he is God. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we're now just into tangents. I think I've run out of personal steam, so maybe I will go back. I closed it like a nitwit, didn't I? Yes, I did. I'm stupid. I'm very stupid sometimes, but that's that's what it is, sometimes I'm dumb. What can I say? Believe. Okay, we're not gonna find this. Okay, we're in the wrong section. That's why. There we go. Believe. Here we go. Where are you? Where are we? Here we are. There we are. Sorry. Just hold on. Promise we're getting there. This is great content. I know. It's fantastic. Fantastic content. Okay. So maybe we'll hear what Craig has to say and I'll comment on it. Because I want to go for an hour of talking about stuff, whatever. What do I have to comment on? Next, whatever. Okay. Wait, what was that on? Was that on my April Fool's video? Yes, it was. April Fool's joke. This was an April 1st joke. Okay. Anyways, I'm still catching people on my April 1st joke. I guess maybe I should take it down. I don't know. Okay.
Now, one of the things I brought up, and you'll hear atheists say a lot, maybe not a lot, but there's a certain type of atheist who will say semi-consistently, of course I don't believe in God. I don't have a choice. I don't have a choice in the things I believe. But that's not really true, okay? And especially when you are talking about in-depth psychology, there's a phenomenon, okay? There are certain types of emotions in depth psychology that they've studied and they understand are largely volitional. The examples would be anxiety, fear, anger, joy, hope. What makes it interesting, particularly in the case of anger, let's use that as the example because it's most obvious there. People who experience those emotional states don't necessarily acknowledge or fully embrace the idea that they're volitional, but they are in fact volitional. Anger is the perfect one to show you what I mean.
Okay, so here's my problem, and this is a common problem I seem to be running into again. I thought that I'd reach somebody by now, but I guess not. Craig, I moved down on your video. I scrolled down. I clicked show more. You know what I get? Nothing. No citations, no links, no anything. You're going to talk about in-depth psychology and it says X, Y, and Z. Really? Give me an example where it says that. Who said it? Give me something to look at. I'll click the link. I'll look at it. But if you don't, then I have nothing to go on. And no, I'm not going to Google it myself. That's your burden to provide the evidence for your claims. Ask a theist, can you convert me without words? Yeah, that's a good question. And what psychology? Well, it sounded like he said in-depth psychology. I'm not sure exactly what he said. That's what it sounded like to me. But no citation, no anything. So I don't know.
Most people who get angry act as if the anger is something that was visited upon them. Oh, I just got angry. I had no...
Can all of you hear this, by the way? I hope it's loud enough. Just let me know in the chat.
choice in the matter, whether it's all volitional or volition plays a huge part in it. It's a difference between an angry person and a not angry person. Some people understand the mechanisms by which they can control themselves, and the angry person acts like they can't, but in fact they could. There was somebody said, it was one of these sermons, somebody said, someone made a case in point. If your pastor walked in here right now, you could shut up and control yourself immediately, because it's more volitional than you are willing to admit.
Okay, so we have a story as an example. Okay. Analogies. All right. I can play that game. I shouldn't, but I could. Because I just watched recently. I was on a YouTube ride of the rabbit hole. And I was watching police cop programs, And, it used to be cops, but now it's like, Atlanta, Georgia, whatever, And this one, they showed up at a domestic dispute, and the gal's yelling at the guy, and the guy's yelling at the gal, and they've separated the two, but they're still yelling at each other, and he's like, calm down, talk to me, focus on me. And she's like, I can't calm down. And the police is right there, but it's very hard for her to stop yelling at the guy, and in fact, she didn't stop yelling in general. She continued to yell throughout their encounter. Now, she did modify her behavior, though. So there seems to be some wiggle room here. But that's a single example, right? I can't really make a conclusion on that single example, and nor should you. So Craig's story, yeah, maybe. My story, sure, we actually have a video that I can link to show that it's a thing. But then if I find a counterexample where somebody doesn't calm down, then what? In fact, I could. There's a court case that I watched where the father's saying to the judge, can you please give me like 5 minutes in a room with this guy? Because the guy had done stuff to his daughter. And he 5 minutes alone in a room with him. Well, what do you think? He wants to beat him up, right? And then he jumps across the table and lunges at the guy. That guy was not in control of his anger or his actions, despite the fact that he was in a courtroom, despite the fact that there was cops there, and they jumped on him. Well, bailiffs at any rate, but they're cops basically. The version of cop, I don't know. And they jumped on him and pinned him. No, you can't do that. They drug him out. Can't do this in court. This is not appropriate. I know you're mad, but this isn't, And I don't even think they charged him, because they could have charged him, but they didn't, because they understood, why he was mad and why he did that. It was understandable that he was angry. It was understandable that he lost control. If he really is in control of that and decides, whatever, I mean, I just don't know how true this is, or if it's true in every case. We would need a metadata study to know that one way or the other, and we don't have that. So,
if you've ever seen an angry person, you know how this drill works. I myself, for example, you're really angry, Craig. You shout at the sun all the time. Not shouting in my videos. You're really angry. You're shouting in your videos all the time. I, for example, in real life, I have never, ever, ever, as far as I can remember in the last 25 years or so, never get into altercations with like a busboy or the person who, behind the counter or things like that. I can't ever think of a time when that happened. Now, why is the question? Because there's a power imbalance there. Okay, the only time that I actually get angry is when threat is involved. And that's usually in a healthy person. That's the only time anger should actually rear its ugly head. It's a fight or flight mechanism, if we're walking down the street and someone disrespects my wife, oh yeah, I'll get angry. Other than that, though, I'm pretty mellow.
Okay, but why? If you can choose not to be angry, then, or not to believe, why would you get angry if somebody says something about your wife? Why would you care? They don't know her. I don't know her. I've never seen her, nor I've heard her speak at all. I've never even seen, well, I don't know if I've seen Craig's face. I know I've seen his avatar. I don't think he's appeared on camera that I remember. But I've never seen his wife. I've heard about her. But so what? I could say all sorts of terrible things about her, right? Why should it matter? If he can, but I'm not really sure what anger and any of this has to do with belief, because emotions are like kind of a separate thing, aren't they? Do you choose to be angry? No, I don't think so. I really don't, because I do think that with enough insults, I could get somebody to become angry. Now, maybe you're better at that, but notice he said healthy person or whatever. And see, there again, where you have this, oh, well, a healthy person acts in such and such way. Really? According to whom? What's that based on? Any citations for that? Or is it just going to, yeah, well, healthy people behave this way and do this or that, the other. Yeah, that's nice. It's just what you think is true, but demonstrating that something is true is very different. As Cat Loves Me says, we convince ourselves to feel certain ways. They believe this. Feelings are quite self-manipulative, but hard external facts are another matter. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think, yeah, maybe we can convince ourselves to feel, well, convincing yourself to feel a certain way, that's different. Actors certainly do that. And everybody can be an actor to some degree. Maybe you're not a good actor, but you can still do it. You can think of things that are sad or happy or that get you upset, and then you will become that emotion to some degree. But then the very fact that you can summon an idea, a memory, and you know that memory will make you feel X, Y, or Z way, then are you really choosing to feel that way? Because it's the memory that's making you feel that way, and you don't have a choice in that matter of how the memory makes you feel. I mean, how deep does that rabbit hole really go, right? Okay.
And in a situation with like a busboy or someone working behind a counter, there's a total power imbalance. That person is no threat to me whatsoever. So I can't think of any time I've ever gotten mad at them. Why is that the perfect example? Because that's exactly the reason why the angry person abuses those people. The busboy. If you get mad at the bus, you do this emotional check right now. Check yourself right now. You've been in fights with busboys. You probably have projected that it was them, but it probably wasn't.
I'm not sure what this has to do with anything. I'm going to skip forward a bit.
I mean, I'm sure a busboy spilled water, because he's an idiot, but why? Because they can get mad and get dar. But you can get mad at a busboy and beat the altercation onto the other person like it was an offense. It's not true. That same person will go, get into an altercation with the magic ingredient that is connecting all those dots. It's you. You're an angry person. A lot of time, maybe 30 years ago at this point, I was a barista in New York. Don't even get me started on Christian. You guys have no evidence. It's like magic beans. It's like magic potions. There's zero rational response to it. It's all emotional. And it's all angsty and emotional.
Okay,
but that person is totally volitional. They could easily control themselves and take a chill and relax, and they don't. They don't want to. So it's volitional. And those types of emotional states are volitional. The ones I mentioned at the beginning, fear, anger, anxiety, those are heavily connected to religious beliefs.
Are they? Are they? I don't know. Maybe they are. I don't know. But even if they are, so what? And isn't that a problem if they are? Like, I don't know. Okay, so, all right.
You don't believe me? Go watch an Aaron Ra video. Go watch an Aaron Ra video. All you need to do is mention Christianity or religion. Don't even get me started on Christian.
Okay, so that's an appeal to the minority of one. So yes, that's an example of somebody that might be irritable at the mention of Christianity because he's dealt with it. But I've seen him be cool, calm, and collected, and I've seen him be really angry. I've been cool, calm, and collected, and I've been really angry. Doesn't mean anything. You're connecting and associating these two without any actual argumentation to show that these two are intertwined in some way. Who knows why somebody gets upset at any given thing? Are you suggesting that because they are upset at X, then therefore that means something? Maybe they're tired of people lying all the time. If you view something as a lie, okay, if you put yourself in their shoes for a moment, that's all I'm asking for is if you can, if you think you can, believe things, and maybe you would think that you can put yourself in somebody else's shoes, right? So if people keep telling you about this group of people, let's say there's some arbitrary number, 10,000 people, not a big number, but it's a pretty big number, actually, 10,000, 100,000, whatever number it is, people out there that actually seriously believe that Voltron is real. And these people keep telling you, well, not just you, but they tell people all the time, Voltron is real. Voltron is real. There's billboards. Voltron is real. Pray to Voltron. Praise be to Voltron. All form the head. Lions forever. They build statues. They build monuments. They build buildings, whatever. They're spending money. And then they're tax-free, so they're spending some of your money, too, on these things. And on top of all that, they're trying to get political, and they're messing around in politics, trying to get things introduced to schools, teach the controversy that the lions are real, that the mechanized lion force can save our world. If only we stop denying that this is real, we could save the universe with the glory of Voltron. Just let kids know that it's an option, that they could think that maybe it's true, because actually, no, it really is true, and you're teaching them lies, by the way. All that science, that's man-made, but our thing about the lions, the green and the yellow and the pink and the blue and the black lion, that's real. They can come together. They can form a giant. That giant is called Voltron. And he has his sword, and he fights in space. It's amazing. And you heard about this, and they kept trying to drive forward changes in politics. Like, every time it seems like you turn around, it's another example of this. They just tried to erect again in front of a public park a big giant statue to the black fucking lion for the 29th time that day. And in front of the court, they want to erect the 20 rules of Voltron. And you're like, no, I'm tired of it. I'm sick of it. And after seeing this over and over again and talking to people and trying your best, trying to explain to them how Voltron isn't really real, maybe, just maybe, the next time people bring up Voltron, you might lose your shit a little bit. Because you're so tired of it. You're so over it already. It's like, oh, here we go again. People are still stupid. And if you want an example of that, look no further than politics. Oh, I had to stay away from politics. I'm so glad I got rid of Twitter. Oh, my goodness. Politics was driving me insane. I was trying to apply logic and reason to it. Can't be done. People don't care. They've decided who's right and wrong. They don't want to debate about it. They don't want to discuss it. They are true. You're wrong. That's it. Period. Done. No. And I'm like, well, but can't we be? Nope. Okay. Well, when it comes to this sort of like, oh, you get angry because we bring up God. Maybe. I heard Aaron, he was talking to this guy. He didn't appear angry in that whole interview. So what? People get mad at some stuff. And what's your point? Is that a choice to get mad? I don't know. Even if it is, so what?
You guys have no evidence. It's like magic beads. It's like magic potions. There's zero rational response to it. It's all emotional. And it's all angsty and emotional and volitional.
Well, that's not true. There is a rational response to emotional things like that. You say, okay, well, I understand your feelings. I understand where you're coming from. I understand that you're upset at this. And I even understand why it might be that you're upset at this, because you don't think it's true and you've dealt with this for a while and maybe you're just sick and tired of it. And I understand that. Okay. Let's take a few steps back. I listened to an old thing of Hitchens. He was on a radio interview where the guy brought up, oh yeah, we're slaves of Christ, and it's so beautiful and so wonderful. And he really got pissed off. He didn't like, no, that's despicable to me that you would want to be a slave. That just really pissed him off. It really irritated him. And he's like, all right, let's just finish the conversation. I'm done now. And he ended the thing, and that was it. And it's like, because he found it just utterly repugnant that a human would want to be a servant, a slave of anything or anyone, even God. That idea was so repugnant and revulsive that he got angry at the guy for liking that idea, angry that humans could do that, and just didn't want to deal with this guy anymore. He's like, I can't believe that you're that sort of person. That is vile. That's sickening. And I actually agree with that perspective. I do think it's sickening that some people want to be slaves. I think that's pretty sad and pathetic. But that's humanity. Not sure where I was going with that, but anyways. All right, so Aaron gets mad. The rational response to it. So yeah, there's this rational response to emotion. Absolutely.
All of it. And that's where we have the what is it called? Not the myth, but the archetype of the angry atheist. Even atheists will tell you, well, I used to be an angry atheist. Now, sometimes there's legitimate reason for that. Okay, some of the people will tell you, I was raised in this fundamentalist tradition and I felt like they were all lying to me and I got played to some degree or another. And I kind of accept that.
Okay, so this is starting to sound more about emotions than about belief or choice or anything like that. So I'm wondering if we're ever going to get to the part where you say either it is or isn't a choice. And so I'm going to skip forward a bit and see if we get to that part of this conversation. Let's just skip, I don't know, let's just skip around to see if we can find it here. Or I'll just skip around and see if I can find it here.
Whole song and dance traumatized by religion routine too. It's just not as plausible. It's really not. I listen to a Catholic sometimes. It's not as plausible.
Wait, what?
Version of it. They try to put a deep boogeyman inside the person so that they actually don't. They wrestle with all these it doesn't work like that. Even in strict Roman Catholicism, there is some sort of negotiation with reality itself, how teenagers are wired in the real world out there, and there's some sort of psychic space that they give to the people, even in a strict version of it.
Maybe it depends on what version you're talking about, though.
So it's a lot healthier to some degree, but Catholics will tell you it's not, and put a guilt trip on. They have their whole song and dance traumatized by religion routine too. It's just not as plausible.
Why not? If somebody claims to have been traumatized by religion, I don't have any reason to be skeptical of that on the face of it. But so what? I don't know. Let's
do it. But to kind of understand, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, you're a kid, you can do stupid things, part of the process. And fundamentalism, they don't seem to quite process that out correctly. Legitimate reason to be angry. I'm not questioning. Police should have started this whole thing. So it doesn't always seem like your not believing in God is a choice, but in fact, there's a whole reason why that's borderline ridiculous. Only in the rarest of circumstances. Okay? I'm borderline ridiculous, not you.
Give the example. Come on.
Relax. Only in the rarest of circumstances is there such a thing as I have no choice when it comes to beliefs. Beliefs are almost always volitional. Do you think a flat earther has no choice in the matter? There's no agency involved?
I don't know. Maybe not. I don't, this is something that this is your burden to prove that your case is true. So you need to make your competent argument. Maybe you won't be able to make it a valid or sound one, but at least make a competent argument, if nothing else, an essay of sorts. And I know Craig loves to do the free flow thing, and I do it too. I mean, I'm doing that here. But you still need to try at least to stick on point. So how is it that not believing or believing in X, in this case X is God, is indeed a choice? Give the argument. Let's see if you do. I don't think you will, but
okay, so there's almost always agency involved. The rare exception is in the positive. Like when I went to church the first time and I actually had an experience that I really honestly thought was God, you don't really have a choice. You have to go with what your senses are directly telling you. You don't have a choice. Now, it doesn't mean I was right and that was God, but only in the positive do you not have a choice. In the negative, which the atheist would be,
what?
Think about how illogical this would be. I ask you, do you believe in Bigfoot? And you go, no, nope. I don't. I have no choice. Well, that's ridiculous.
I don't have a choice but to not believe in Bigfoot. It's the same thing. I wish Craig could see it or understand it. I wish he was here to talk to. I would tell him, no, I don't have the choice to believe. No, the choice is that this, okay, I see the problem. I think I see the problem. Okay. Do you believe in Bigfoot? No. Do you choose to believe in Bigfoot? No. Well, why not? I don't have a choice. Well, yeah, you do. You could believe in Bigfoot. No, I couldn't. Sure you could. How? Well, what things are you going to give me that will enable me to believe in Bigfoot? Right? You could give me bad arguments. You could give me writings from anonymous people. You could give me 1,000 different people that wrote stuff that you've gathered together in one single book. And I could be like, yeah, that's not evidence of Bigfoot either. And you could say, you're just choosing what you want to call evidence. Let's move that goalpost back, shall we? Right? And that's all I think ultimately this really is I don't want the burden to be on me. I want it to be on you. I want you to show me that you could believe, but it's just you're choosing not to believe. You're choosing not to agree with me. No, I'm not. I can't start believing in goblins, ogres, and dragons, nor can I start believing in God.
You've been all over the country and you've examined every area and every square foot and you've watched all the videos. No, the idea that you could have no choice in the negative is ludicrous. That's what I meant. It's a ridiculous idea. Do you believe in Bigfoot? You can say, no, I don't necessarily believe in Bigfoot. But no, you can't say Bigfoot does not exist. I have no choice.
Actually, wrong. I can say that Bigfoot does not exist. In this case, you're wrong. Oh my word, you're wrong. No, Bigfoot absolutely does not exist. Period. End of story. Doesn't exist. Never did existed. I couldn't say never will exist, although technically I suppose you could, but nonetheless, no, Bigfoot does not exist. I can say that because it's not a universal negative. It can be shown to be the case. But the burden's not on me. The burden's on the one that claims that Bigfoot is real. Prove that Bigfoot's real. Forget about the whether belief or not, or if it's choice or whatever. Fine. Show me Bigfoot. Just capture the damn thing. Okay. Bigfoot, a supposedly real creature, has not been captured. No evidence of bones. No evidence of fecal matter. No evidence at all. And the presenting of what some call evidence has been debunked. Pictures and video. Blurry, out of focus, clearly fraudulent. The evolution isn't there for it, so no, it isn't a thing, and those that want to promote it as a thing haven't demonstrated it to be a thing. I have no choice but to conclude that Bigfoot is not a thing. All the evidence points to it not existing. You're simply wrong here.
Except in the matter, you haven't gone through every ounce of forest in the United States of America, and you haven't watched every documentary. Now, here is the only time where
that's not relevant. Okay, this is the whole you have to do it yourself. No, you don't. No, you don't. No. No, but this is jeez. Anyway, so you misunderstand how a negative is, how a universal negative is, and all that. I'm not really surprised. I mean, I have interacted with him sometimes, but maybe not enough to get it through to him. But I don't know. Anyways,
no choice would actually be involved, because sometimes the direct evidence to your senses, what you directly experience is intense and vivid and real enough to override your innate skepticism. So
with a Bigfoot, if there was a Bigfoot and I could see Bigfoot, then I would probably think that my eyes are still operating in the way that they've been operating, and I would try to record it and document it as best as possible. But this is not equivalent. God is not visible. So this analogy isn't going to work.
So let's say you're walking through a forest and you're kind of agnostic on whether Bigfoot exists or not. You may even call yourself an Bigfootist. But you come into a clearing and there's this 8-foot hairy creature in front of you. And you know for a fact you're seeing it because it stays there for north of an hour. And why it doesn't eat your face, I don't know. Maybe Bigfoot got a bad rap. He's more.
Well, no, I don't know for certain that I am actually seeing it, regardless of how long it is. I could be hallucinating, maybe, possibly. But I can gather evidence of this thing. Okay, I can attempt to take a picture and video of it and capture it and what have you, and I would. I mean, I can't do that with God. God is not a thing that I will ever encounter in the same way that I would plausibly encounter a Bigfoot. So this analogy just goes nowhere and does nothing. Next.
Peaceful than people realize. I'd say run short. I'm going to run, Craig. Yeah, I would say very, he's got a bad rap over the years. He's mellow. And it's hairy, and you're surely positive you see it stays there for north of an hour. And kind of you have no choice is what I mean. Is the only thing I'm trying to point out with this little thought experiment. You have no choice at that point. Your experience of the actual thing that you are seeing with your own eyes has to some degree, override your innate skepticism.
So yeah, there you go. It's not a choice anymore. Once presented with the actual thing, you can't choose to just go, no, I don't believe that. How hard is it for you to see it the other way around? I see zero evidence of Bigfoot. In fact, I see evidence against Bigfoot. I have no choice but to believe it isn't a thing. I don't understand.
So whatever you might have thought about Bigfoot prior to seeing him, you are now a Bigfoot believer. Hallelujah. Bigfoot is real, Craig. Hallelujah. That's the only time when something directly confronts you. That's the type of thing atheists are talking about. God knows what it would do to convince me, as if God owes you some sort of special favor.
Yes. We've heard this before. I love that. I love the burden and goalposts. No, I wouldn't say burden switching. I'd say goalpost moving here. God doesn't owe you an explanation, doesn't owe you anything. That's not the point of asking for evidence. That's it's not. It's quite ridiculous, actually. If there's this thing, and I'm asking it sincerely to show me that it's a thing, and it doesn't, then it's a jerk at the very least. Forget about whether it owes me or not. Okay, it doesn't owe me. That's not the point. All these people in my chat right now, we've got the Unfollower. I had B Steel, Sniffy McSnunoff. I'm mispronouncing everybody's name. I apologize. Ken Lee. Hey, that's a name I could say. Diana Cat Loves Me. Ken. I think I said Ken. Whose name did I skip? No, I think I said everybody. All of you here now. And those of you that listen later on. If I said, look, I want you to prove to me that you exist. Well, you can. It's very simple. You just type stuff at me, right? I know somebody is doing that. You're not a robot. You're not a bot. You're not an AI device. Now, let's say I took that a step further. Okay, I've seen B Style around more than once. His name has appeared on my channel more than once. So I am not reading what he said. I'm just putting his name up there. Now I'll have to read what he says in a bit. Okay. If I said, hey, look, B, email me your photograph, what you look like. I want that. Maybe he wouldn't because he's shy. I don't know. Or maybe he would trust me enough to be like, yeah, okay, that's kind of weird, but sure, Deconvert, man, we know each other well enough. Here you go. And now I have proof of who he is. Now, could he lie? Could he just send me any old picture? Sure. I don't know why he would. He could. For all I know, it's a she. I don't think so, but I could be wrong, But nonetheless, if I desired that sort of next level of interaction, and I said, look, you've seen what I look like. Can I see what you look? If not, okay, why not? Blah, blah, blah. Look, we can negotiate because we're human and we can actually interact with each other. And he's not going to be a complete jerk and be like, I don't owe you anything. I don't owe you proof. Like, oh, he's an asshole. Okay, whatever, And I'm not saying if you didn't, no, now I'm going to get pictures of B Stowe and be like, oh, what do I do with this now? Right? But my point is, don't send me pictures. If you want to, I don't care, whatever. As long as it's safe for work, it's fine. I'd rather not. I don't know what to do with it, but you don't know what I do with it either. No, but the point is, he could do that, and he might actually do that if I requested it sincerely, which I'm not. I'm using him as an example. But, yeah. Why won't God do anything? Not even a little thing, okay? It's like it's not even. It's not. I'm not asking God to send me a photo of itself or to say something in chat. God, God can't be bothered to do that. Fine, levitate this thing off of my desk. No, God can't be bothered to do that. God cannot be bothered to do anything for anyone, no matter how many people beg for it, no matter how long they beg for it. God will not manifest in any way that is not identical to what we would expect from nature alone. All the Christians in the world, all the religions of the world, everybody in the world at once could out loud pray to whatever thing that they believe in, or do whatever magic spell or incantation or whatever, and all at the same time ask for the same exact thing as sincere as possible. Let's all ask for C19 to stop existing. Let's go for that as a world. Now, some people won't do it probably, but let's just pretend we could get the entire world to do it. You know what's going to happen? Nothing. C19's still going to be a thing. And I absolutely know that without a doubt in my head. No amount of people praying, crying, sweating tears, whatever, to God or any other magical thing will produce an actual demonstrable result. If it did, we would do it all the time. Christians would pray and the solution would be provided. It doesn't happen. We're on our own, people. It's you and me. That's it. Humanity. That's all we've got. No gods, no demons, no devils, no angels, no spirits, no saints. Just us. That's it. The only one that might help you is another human being. That's it. That's what it really is. That's the truth of the matter. And I can't choose to not believe that because everything I know points to that being the case. I've hit longer than an hour. I could go on. I think I've made my point. I did say I was going to read this, so now I'm going to read this. There are thinkable realities of type A, escapable, and B, inescapable. It's surprising that people choose or advertise B. I'm not really sure what you're talking about there, but okay, I read it. Right. Actually, that did make me think of a joke I heard at church, and this may be summons. I summon in attack mode. Summarizes this perhaps. This man is there's a flood and the man climbs on top of his roof and he starts praying for help and a boat comes by and says, "Hey, come on, get on the boat. The water is rising." He says, "No, thanks. God will save me." And a little later on, the waters come up even more, another several feet. And he's like, "God, please save me." And a helicopter comes by, lowers a ladder, says, "Come on, get out of here." And the guy is like, "No, God's going to save me." The water keeps rising, and the man drowns. He's up in heaven. He's like, "God, I prayed for you to save me. What's the deal?" God's like, "Oh, I sent you a boat and a helicopter. What more do you want?" And everybody laughs. The problem is, the man was waiting for God to save him. He was waiting to have God do something that's godlike. Teleport him out of there, God. Lift him up with your hand. Stop the water from rising. I don't know, make him able to float. Send an angel. Of course, it's just a joke. It's not meant to be taken apart and analyzed, but that's not going to stop me from doing it anyways. The problem is that, in fact, you or I might be praying and I would actually get on the boat. I wouldn't even be praying. If the flood water is rising, the moment the boat comes by, I'm getting on the boat. I'm not waiting for a God to save me because the person saved me. And I would thank that person, not God. That person did that. They got that boat. They drove it there. They rescued me. I don't see any God to thank at all. So, unless and until I do have that sort of evidence, and I don't, I have no choice but to not believe. And it's just the same for the flip side, Craig. So, I don't know. All right, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments once it's a video. And unless and until we have a valid and sound argument, empirical evidence, or a repeatable test, we should be skeptical of the conclusions.